I welcome guest speaker for the founding day, Mr. N. Chandrasekaran, Chairman Tata Sons Limited. Sir, before we begin this, your speech, we have one pleasant task every year which a guest speaker we request to carry out is the release of the special edition of the journal of the BCA, which is the July edition. So I will request Raman Jokhakar, who is the editor, to come forward and give a brief about the journal, and then we will have the release at your auspicious hands.
Respected Sri Chandrasekaran, President Abhay, Mihir Bhai, all the OBs, respected past presidents, members, guests and young friends. First, I must comfort you that, I'll be the only person between you and the speaker for which you have all come here. And my job is to felicitate the release of the journal at his hands. BCA journal is, as you know, is the masthead of the society, and it's in its 54th year, and it's entirely run by volunteers, from editor to all the authors. We bring out about 130 pages every month on an average. We carry 25 features plus articles on diverse topics such as tax, international tax, GST, accounting and assurance, practice management, technology, and so on and so forth. The July 22 journal is published as the annual special issue, as Abhay mentioned, and as it coincides with our founding day. And here are a few highlights. When GST came in 2017, just in the next building, we had the journal released at the hands of Shri Piyush Goyal, and some of you, a lot of you were there at that event to mark the advent of GST. And here we are at the 5th anniversary of GST. And we have carried 7 special articles on GST from hardcore professionals who are, day in and day out practicing on that topic. And these are 9 eminent lawyers and chartered accountants. And we had these 7 articles. One was Stakeholder Perspective by Sunil Gabhawala, on Advanced Misrulings by Bharat Rai Chandani and Anvisha Laskar. Divyesh Lapsiwala wrote on Technology and GST. V. Raghuraman and Rajat Bharadwaj, How Courts Have Viewed GST. Mr. K. Vaitiswaran on Ironing the Creases. Mrs. Bhavana Doshi on Revisiting the Why of GST. And the last one on industry perspective was written by Vinod Mandlek, who happens to be from TCS. Of course, at that time, we had no clue who the guest speaker was likely to be. In addition, of course, we have other articles on audit reporting challenges, etc. And as the cover page, you will see, we have a truck on the cover page, and you will see a lady on that truck. And that lady reflects, or it rather represents, the attitude we need from the regulator, the tax collector, towards the tax. Coconut and a kalash, which is typical on Indian trucks. And this is for all the auspiciousness that we need for removing hurdles and blocks on the way of GST. And of course, we have left the driver's cabin open, for we didn't know who's driving it, whether it's the administration, the courts, the industry, or the profession. So, sir, on behalf of everyone present here, I have the honor to request Sri Chandrasekaran to release this annual special issue.
respected speaker for the founding day, Mr. N. Chandrasekaran, President Mihirbai Sheth, other office bearers on the dais, past presidents of BCAS, other dignitaries of the dais, and dear professionals and ladies and gentlemen. Tata, this name evokes feelings of trust, care, confidence, and above all, pride for each and every Indian. There is no corporate house in India which has carried out equal work for the citizens as towards the advancement of the businesses of the group. The vision and the ethos on which the Tata Group has built its empire have never been compromised over more than 150 years of its existence. The Tata Group has a legacy which commenced in the year 1868. It was in this year when 29-year-old Mr. Jamsetji Nasarwanji Tata started a trading company with a princely capital of INR 21,000. The Tata Group, which is synonym to People First Enterprise, has imbibed employee-centric values since 1886. In 1910, clean energy was brought to Mumbai by Tata Power with the establishment of Western India's first hydropower plant. So, renewable energy, which is currently buzzword after so much damage to the environment, was already thought of by the responsible corporate group of India, that is Tata's. In 1968, India's first software services company was established by the Tata Group, namely Tata Consultancy Services, when majority of us were not even having idea about the computers. It is truly a global company operations spread across 46 countries. It was after 35 years of its existence that TCS was listed on Indian stock markets in 2003 and enhancing shareholders' valuations year after year. These are some of the brief facts of the Tata Group, which straddles like a colossal across all walks of life through their immense contribution in the progress of the country, world, and human race as a whole. It is in the year 2017, a stalwart who led TCS as CEO from 2009 to 2017 was selected to be the chairman of Tata Sons Limited, the principal investment holding and promoter of Tata Group. It is a momentous occasion for BCAS that we have the chairman of Tata Sons Limited, Mr. N. Chandrasekaran, as guest speaker on the 74th founding day. This occasion of Mr. Chandrasekaran agreeing to speak from BCAS platform on my last day as the president of the August Association, BCAS, will be marked as one of the most memorable moments of my life. I acknowledge the efforts of our past president Himanshu Kishnadwada and Mr. N. Srinivasan, brother of Mr. N. Chandrasekaran, for coordinating and confirming his presence for being a guest speaker for today evening. The topic selected by Mr. N. Chandrasekaran is really apt when post-COVID there have been substantial changes in the ways businesses are visualized and the way all professions serving the businesses will shape considering the changing regulatory, geopolitical, and business environment. Mr. N. Chandrasekaran is to brief us about the future trends, risks, and opportunities. I do not feel anyone else would be able to do enough justice other than today's speaker, considering the exposure of the group from salt to airplanes, encompassing all types of goods and services which we are exposed to. We shall have an engrossing 45 minutes which would provide enough food for thought going forward. Before I invite Mr. Chandrasekaran to enlighten us on the future trends, I have the privilege to introduce him, though he needs no introduction. Mr. Natarajan Chandrasekaran, as stated in my initial remarks, is chairman of the board at Tata Sons. Mr. Chandrasekaran joined the Tata Sons board in October 2016 and within a short span of 4 months was appointed as chairman in January 2017. He is popularly known as Chandra, and in fact for the profile refers to him so. However, for us, he will be Mr. N. Chandrasekaran. Mr. Chandrasekaran started at TCS as software programmer in 1987, immediately after completing master's degree in computer applications from Regional Engineering College at Trichy. The most creditable thing about his career is that he continues to be with Tata's since his first employment, and his deep insight and dedication have enabled him to attain the highest post in the most respected group from India. Under his leadership, TCS generated total revenues of 16.5 billion US dollars in 2015-16 and consolidated its position as the largest private sector employer in India and the country's most valuable company. Mr. Chandrasekaran has been conferred with Padma Bhushan in the field of trade and industry. He has also been awarded several honorary doctorates by leading universities in India and internationally. He is on the International Advisory Council of Singapore's Economic Development Board. He is the chairman of IIM Lucknow and also the president of the court at the IISc Bengaluru. He is the member of Bocconi's International Advisory Council in Italy and the co-chair of the India-US CEO Forum. In United States, he is on the board of governors of New York Academy of Sciences and has also been elected as an international member of the US National Academy of Engineering. His other skills come to the fore through passion for photography and his authoring of Digital Nation, a groundbreaking book on harnessing technological disruptions to bring Indians closer to their dreams. I think this topic itself shows that what we are in store for through the future trends. He is a passionate long-distance marathon runner and has completed world marathon majors. I need not name the majors because they are spread across the continent. With this brief introduction, I will now request Mihir Bhai to hand over a memento as a token of love and affection. And this memento, sir, is a contribution by us to 6 different regions in India of 50 plants each as a mark of our appreciation and which you can cherish later on. Now I request Mr. Chandrasekaran to address us. Yeah, and this is a BCAS referencer and the journals which you can just go through to have an idea about the activities carried out by BCAS. Thank you.
Shri Abhay Mehta, Shri Mihir Shah, other dignitaries on the dais, members of BCAS, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege and honor for me to be invited to be a guest speaker on your founding day event. And I thank you for giving me this opportunity and also sparing your valuable time to listen to a few thoughts that I will share with you today. We have actually had a very tough couple of years in every which way we can look at. A meeting like this about a year and a half ago looked like a dream. We started even wondering whether we'll go back to a situation where we will see a room full of people without masks. So much has happened in the last 2 years, and if you reflect, it's almost a decade full of experience, a global pandemic, military conflict, supply chain crisis, wars, cryptocurrency, and what have you. And also, on the positive side, huge innovation, all of this packaged in 2 years with a lot of action. We have gone through a lot. we experience for the first time the statement too big to fail, even affecting the world economy was brought to a halt in a matter of weeks. We saw lockdowns, we saw days when no plane anywhere in the world took off. I mean, just think about it. And no cars on the road. And all restaurants, there were days globally closed. I mean, what we experienced in what we call as lockdown seems to be a simple word. But if you really look at a global lockdown, what it meant, what we experienced, I mean, it's just unthinkable. Then we saw a huge hit on the stock market. And we saw a sudden rise of the stock market. Economy going down, economy coming back. A contracting GDP, a huge bounce back. Then again we saw a military conflict, again the economy going down. And barely about 6 months ago, where we thought it will be a high growth, high inflationary economy. In December, if you go back and read every report and you ask anyone, everyone would have said it's going to be a high growth, high inflation economy. And it turned out to be a low growth and super high inflationary economy. That's what we are going to witness globally. But on the positive side, we also witnessed a huge human spirit. We just could not believe how people could adapt to all the hardships, poor and rich. And everybody had to go through the same thing. How people could adapt digital technology. I mean, I can tell you, Deepak Parikh bought a smartphone. Otherwise, he was always using a SMS text. But he said, Abhi, I need to be at least on WhatsApp and I need to do Zoom calls, so I bought a smartphone. So, if you see the adaptation of people, all the children went to school through digital medium. People shopped in digital medium. People attended work through digital medium. It's a globally, everywhere. Rich country, poor country, developing country, developed country. Men, women, literate and uneducated. So, and we saw huge innovation. A vaccine could be produced in less than a year. The moment one vaccine was produced, then there were multiple vaccines. And probably the largest effort globally to vaccinate 7 billion people. Everybody did it differently. Everybody had their own protocols. Some countries hoarded the vaccines. Some countries didn't have the vaccine, but everybody figured out a way to vaccinate people. Not one shot, 2 shots, and also no booster. So on the innovation side, on the ability of the people to rise to the occasion and tackling the crisis, we have seen a lot of positivity, but we have seen tremendous hardship and it's not over. So, if you called that we have been living in a volatile world, VUCA world, which is what used to be the terminology much before the pandemic. I don't know what you will call what we went through in the last 2 years. But going forward, we are still going to face a lot of uncertainty. Because we are coming out of the COVID, and still there are variants, but we have learned to live with it. But we have a military conflict. We have a war going. We have a supply chain crisis. Nobody is able to figure out why did this crisis happen. If we take a semiconductor crisis, and other commodities crisis, this is something that we have not experienced before. In all my years of experience, I have never done a business plan which is not demand based. Any business plan, annual operating plan you prepare, you will ask people, why not more? What are you doing in sales? Why can't you sell more? Why can't you create more demand? For the first time, we are building business plans which are based on supply. How much can we produce? You ask the question, why can't you produce more? Not what you can't sell more, because the demand is high. So we are getting used to different ways of working. And in all this, if you look at the future, clearly there are things that are happening which will point to certain directions the world will take, both for businesses, the society, and nations. And there are any number of those trends we can talk about, but I'm going to talk about 4 trends which I think are fundamental. And I very deeply feel these trends will have huge impact They can see it as a positive trend or a negative trend. But I think these are hugely positive trend for India, and it will significantly increase the velocity of growth for our country. First one is, for want of a better word, I'll still stick to the word digital. Digital adoption is here to stay, and I say that we have gained an adoption advantage of 10 years because of the last 2 years, because everyone now knows things can be done using digital, and things have to be done through digital. That is the only way that we can get things done. And we, in our book, coined the term Bridgital, which is digital plus technology plus people plus physical infrastructure. How do they work together? And in Indian context, it is of huge value because we have fundamental problems which we cannot solve otherwise. Our problems from a societal point of view is lack of access and lack of jobs. By lack of access, what do I mean? See, even during the pandemic, while all of us would have seen our kids, grandkids going to school in Bombay or any of these metros, have attended schooling through an iPad or an iPhone or Zoom or Teams or whatever. But many rural kids lost 2 years. And in India, we have a huge population which doesn't have access to education, access to healthcare, and we can't solve it by building physical schools and by building physical hospitals. It'll take, we have an estimated shortage of 6 lakh doctors, and we can't graduate 6 lakh doctors. It's not going to happen. So the only way is to use digital technology and train skilled people who can take away some of the jobs that the expert does in every field. So to my mind, this adoption of digital is a boon. It's a very positive thing that has happened, and if you use it, we will be able to solve the access problem. And it will also create jobs problem, because you will have a lot of people who are in the low skilled category being upgraded with technology to be able to address this issue. So it will provide access, it will create jobs. Then when you provide access, what it means is that you are able to include many people who are not part of the market into the market. So that will expand our consumption market across the board. Then it will also create formalization of jobs. So many of our informal economy will come into the formal economy. So to my mind, from a societal perspective, this whole digital adoption will change, accelerate, and also it will bring certain amount of equality, because we clearly have the divide between haves and have-nots, and that will also get breached. So I think it's a huge thing that will happen. From a business point of view, every business is going to be a digital business. Every business is going to be an AI business. Every business is going to be a data business. Every business is going to be an IoT business. There is no question. And no one will be missed out. No company can say, "Hamare liye nahi hai." Whether it's a steel company, whether it's a power company, whether it's a manufacturing company, services company, consumer company, IT company, financial services company, every company has to adopt, because everything will become real time, everything will become analytics, everything will become insights. There will be a lot of things that will be done through bots and robots and so on, so forth. And does it pose a mechanization problem that we will lose jobs? No, I don't think so. Not in India. It may be true in other countries, not in India. It'll only open up new opportunities. So I think this trend is so huge. And also there is one more thing that is happening. See, the startup world in India is just dramatically expanding. You will see, I think somebody told me that there are 125 or 120 unicorns already, and some 300 billion is the market value of these companies. But there will be some failures. There will be some which will not have the right business model, raise a lot of money and then fail. But the point is, the culture is changing. When I graduated from school, and which most of you probably would agree, Bombay is a little different, but outside Bombay, if you go the rest of the India, we all wanted jobs. Bombay had the culture, Bombay and Gujarat had the culture of having businessmen. But outside, we all wanted safe jobs. Our parents will say, go and join a government job or a Tata company, then you're fine, right? So, but that culture is changing. People want to work in startups. People want to work in technology. They want to take risk. They want to find companies. So ecosystem is developing. So like the tech ecosystem is developing, the opportunity in this whole digital economy is for us to create similar ecosystems. Why can't we have a similar startup ecosystems in biology, Why can't we have a similar ecosystem in textiles? Why can't we have a similar ecosystems in manufacturing? So we need clusters of that. Everything cannot be Bangalore. Bangalore is one hub for tech ecosystem. There can be other ecosystems. I think those things will evolve. What does it mean? There will be funding, there will be partnerships, there will be mentors. All of those things is a possibility. So I think this whole digital trend is going to drive huge amount of growth, and it will also solve some of the problems. The second trend is, I want to talk about, is sustainability, and it's real, it's irreversible. Going towards a green economy is irreversible. And you see, you're already seeing it in many Western countries. People who used to commute and do the jobs, they don't want to come to work anymore. I mean, you go to London, you go to New York, you can't go to a restaurant. You go to a restaurant and you check into the I don't remember, I think it's the Four Seasons or Ritz-Carlton in San Jose. There's one guy at the desk, and there is a coffee shop. So you go for the coffee, you're checked in already in the hotel, then you go for the coffee. That same person has to serve all the people who are checking in or checking out, and then when he has free time, he comes and he says there's no labor. And this whole great resignation is a worry in the Western countries. Fortunately, we don't have that problem. So the sustainability is going to be real, because the pressure to go towards a carbon-free world will only increase on businesses and governments. And the dates, whatever we hear now, will get advanced. This is kind of a train. You're going towards a destination, the destination keeps coming forward. So whether you talk about electric vehicles, you talk about renewable energy, you talk about green hydrogen, you talk about water surplus economy, you talk about circular economy in every industry, new business models will come. I don't see it as a cost, I see it as an opportunity. It is a model transition that will happen. It is just not a, and we don't have the problem in India because we don't have legacy infrastructure for our growth. It's not that we have capped the growth. We are going to grow so much in the next 10, 20 years. We don't have the infrastructure. Whatever infrastructure we have is already giving up. A very little infrastructure we have. So any new infrastructure we build will all be on green economy. That is the opportunity. Whereas in some countries where the growth is capped out, they have to transition from an infrastructure which is abundant to a new infrastructure. So there will be a replacement. Here there is no replacement. Here there will be very soon our green energy will exceed our thermal energy, which nobody else can say that. Only we can only say that. Because nobody else will put fresh capacity. They have to replace capacity. So I think for us it's a tremendous opportunity. Any business to do with sustainability, and still we don't have solutions for many. We don't know waste management. We don't know what's going to happen in electronics waste management. We are going to produce so many devices. In India, 1.3 billion will have probably 5 billion devices. So how are we going to take care of those things? So the whole sustainable business models are going to be a tremendous opportunity, and that will drive a lot of economic growth, job opportunities and so on. The third thing, I already talked about supply chain. Clearly, the world was designed, all companies were designed for speed and efficiency. I wanted to get the cheapest and I wanted to get it faster. From that, everything is going to go towards speed and resilience over efficiency. See, because we don't want to get stuck. And the geopolitical situation will get worse, unfortunately. As a result, everything has to have a resilience. So our businesses, well, they have to build resilient supply chain, whether it's a Tata Steel or Tata Motors or anyone else. We also have the opportunity, because the world requires an alternative supply chain. And not every company can do that. Every country can do that. The only country which has the scale is India. So I call this not India supply chain, it will be India plus supply chain, because I feel India with some other partners, because we won't be able to produce everything, but with the right partnerships, with we being the lead, there will be a tremendous opportunity to solve the resiliency of world supply chain. And it will happen in semiconductors, it will happen in chemicals, it will happen in pharmaceuticals, it will happen in advanced materials, it will happen in food. So it can happen in every industry. So the whole supply chains, the formulations, and for that we need to make some bold investments, we need to take some risks, we need to invest in R&D. See, it's not a next year affair, but it's decade-long affair. But you will have some low-hanging fruits straight away, but then it will evolve very fast. So to my mind, this is the third trend, which will produce great opportunities of growth. And the fourth one is talent. This is the least understood and most complex thing that's going to happen, because we still don't know how the future of work is going to be. On the one hand, a super adoption of digital. On the other hand, people asking questions, why can't I work from home? And industry by industry it will be different. So we will evolve to a future working model. Actually, for the first time, workplace and workers have been disassembled. So this will evolve, and we need to figure out what is the best model that we can create. We can optimize the infrastructure, work infrastructure. We can optimize the commuting, but we need better tools. We got used to Zoom. Nobody would have known in this room, 95% of the people would not have known what is Zoom 2 years ago, but now it's like, we'll do a Zoom call, right? It's become the parlance now. So whether it is Zoom, whether it's a Teams, we got used to, these kind of tools, more collaborative tools will come, and these tools will have enormous capabilities of giving real-time collaborative experience, and that will facilitate some of the things that today we think is inefficient in the current way of working. It takes time, but there is an opportunity for humanoids to come. So virtually 5 people who are sitting here can sit here, but virtually, and express themselves. So these things will happen. I don't know how long it will take, because we don't know. But the adoption of a different type of working model will force innovation. So I think the future of work is a very complex subject. Talent is going to become complex, and I think more women will become available because of the hybrid culture, hybrid nature, which is a very positive thing for India, because India's women participation in workforce is 23%. It has been coming down year after year. Very, very unfortunate. It was 27% in 2011. Now it is 23%. And also the talent, it's like the shareholder meeting. So in the typical shareholder meeting, before, it will all be people from Bombay, and a few loyal shareholders will come from Calcutta or someplace, Gujarat, Ahmedabad or someplace. Today, I mean, in the virtual shareholders meeting, everybody is from anywhere, from Assam, from Coimbatore, from Hyderabad, from Vijayawada. Everybody is participating from anywhere. So talent will become available globally, and you won't have to have uh, every person fully hired full time. You will be able to tap on expertise from anywhere, from any part of the world. It will require change in behavior because we are not used to it. So if it is a chief marketing officer, we need to have a chief marketing officer. So that person is the be all and end all. That's not the way it will be in the future. So I think this talent, how it is going to be managed and future of work, this is going to significantly change, and one doesn't know where we will end up. But there is an opportunity to shape this in a way that we can benefit from it, and optimize the way we work, productivity and so on and so forth. So I think these four are very important. The other trend which will significantly impact is health. Health tech, how the treatment is provided, etc. The use of technology in health tech is going to be very huge, but I will not talk about that at this point. So this is the four trends I wanted to highlight to you. But in summary, I feel there are risks. It's going to be a volatile future for the years because the war is going to continue, and the economy, there's going to be high inflation. Some of the big countries are going to go into recession. There is no question. And maybe for a short period of time, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, we don't know, but they'll go into recession, that is for sure. And so there will be a knee-jerk reaction in some parts, but we have a very, very strong growth agenda in India. I really think that we, for the first time, we will see growth both in consumption and in infrastructure-led growth. And we have lots of export opportunities.
Good evening, friends. Founding Day celebrations are typically meant to be leisure celebrations with fun, floric music, dance. But in the BCAS world, a celebration is incomplete without a sumptuous dose of an intellectually stimulating discussion that we have witnessed today. Thank you, sir. You have set the tone for our 74th year. And as they say, well begun is half done. Before we proceed further, with your permission, sir, we would like to take a few questions from the floor. All of you all have traveled so much in the rains, and any questions, we'll take a couple of them, and we'll have Mr. Chandrasekaran address us. Yes, Nitin bhai.
Sir, you mentioned technology is pervading all aspects of life and business. You also referred briefly to the health, where technology is, and not just, in providing health solutions, but even diagnosis, which is like more of an expert domain. I understand Stanford technologies are even detecting disease much better than even the medical profession. In architecture, there are solutions which do design and replace human beings. Even in tax and accounting, where we thought earlier the technology will be limited to only transaction processing and would not probably encroach upon the domain of experts. How should we prepare ourselves for that future where technology will, come out with expert solutions?
You're so right. I recently spent a day in one of the top schools where they showcased some of the cutting edge research and projects they are working on. They created a new field called bionics, which is biology plus artificial intelligence. And the work is being done by computer scientists, psychologists, and biology people. Where what I saw was just fascinating, because we have seen artificial limbs, but they've been able to find artificial tissues. And they've been able to create a connection between the real brain and the artificial tissue. So the possibility is enormous if these things can really come to life. Many diseases which are aging diseases can be solved. So a lot will happen in the health science, and I think it's coming faster than we think. I was giving a lecture somewhere else. You see, I really think that anti-aging will happen. People will decide to not age after some time. It's going to be real. So people will live longer. In some cases, people will be able to live in such a way that they extend their life. I don't know how far, but these are things that are being worked upon, and these things will happen. So one of the things that the younger people I tell is that don't be in a hurry. It's a very long journey. So have good fun. Don't be in a hurry to reach a destination. So I think health sciences is going to be fascinating. That's a subject we can talk all day, and so much is happening. But coming to the professions like yours, I just wanted to make a point when I was saying about our future of work. That's going to be very important for a profession like yours. And many things that you do, which even the computer does today, where you are using spreadsheets or Tally software or SAP software, all those things can be automated by bots. So many things will get real-time audit, to my mind, can happen with a bot. I don't think that you need to be closing books for companies. So you need to have bots. Bots can real-time sit in the computer in the companies, and they can be doing real-time audits. So yours will become more intellectual, more advisory, more consultative, and there are, I also firmly believe, very firmly believe, that machines will not replace people. I mean, humans will always be one step ahead. So I think you need to think in that world and accelerate in that journey. What is it that we are doing today? Why can't it be done by bots? So that's the way to think about it.
Sir, with technology and the last 2 years of pandemic, work from home culture is developed. But this has taken more toll on human health and the work, because they have to put more number of hours, stress. How can one balance the work-life balance in the new trend?
So you're right, mental health is going to be a big issue. I think work-life balance is coming, and I think it's a good thing. I don't believe that working longer is always not the solution. So people have to allocate time for health, well-being. That's equally important. I think if you get your workout before the work, it's much easier. Better to think about work after the workout. So, and I think everybody should encourage it. And we need to actually make it easy. See, I find in India, definitely ordinary people have to do extraordinary things to do ordinary work. Right? Why people have to do extraordinary effort to do ordinary things? So we need to remove that extra. That is in our hand, so that life is made easier for people, and that's something that we have to do. See, many times this health issue comes because of stress, unnecessary stress on small things, very small things. We got stress. I think we just have to remove that, and it's a responsibility for all corporations, and it has to be done for across the board. It's not only the senior people or the C-suite people have stress. A lot of youngsters have a lot of stress. So I think nothing should require extraordinary effort. At least ordinary things, day-to-day life.
Manish bhai.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to spend your evening with us. But my question is from your global experience, from your experience of your travel so far. I would like to know, we have set ourselves target of $5 trillion economy, and we also read that we just missed by a whisker of being the 5th largest economy. What are the 3 things that we as Indians do correct and we need to do that? And what are the 3 things that we don't do correct, we need improvement?
What are the 3 things?
That we require improvement. We are not doing correct right now and we require improvement. And what are the 3 things that we are doing correct and continue doing that?
So we need to improve in everything. So see, I think there are many things I can say, but I'll say a few things. I think we should take decisions in our context. We get often swayed by. This is not to say that we are not disconnected from the rest of the world. Yes, I mean, if the US economy suffers, everybody catches cold. That's true to some extent. But at the same time, there are fundamental strengths in our economy. We've got to maximize that. So we've got to go ahead and stay the course. We need to make sure our capital projects are not stopped. See, our thing is, while inflation control is important, equally more important is creation of jobs. So if you don't create projects, jobs will not get created. So we need to create jobs, and we need to do the projects. We should not stop projects. Second thing is that there is an opportunity and we have to have the belief, and we should take that risk, but we need enormous discipline in capital allocation. We need enormous discipline in capital allocation. We can't just do things thinking, then we create distress. Then if 2 things go wrong, then immediately everyone will get cold feet, then policy changes, everything. So we need a lot of governance, strong governance. And we don't want, I'm not saying that things cannot fail, but we should be able to catch them early. So fundamentally fix education, healthcare for all. We have hundreds of millions of people who are not participating in the economy because they don't have access. This is the point I'm making. Maybe their per capita income will be very low. But when you talk about 200 million people coming into the economy, even if their spend is very little, it's huge size of the market. And we need to go ahead with labor laws. There are a lot of things which is in the agenda. We just need to execute. I would say simply, we need to execute. We need to get your execution, discipline and rigor in everything we do. That's all we need to do. I don't think that there is anything that people don't know. We know exactly what to do. Everyone knows what needs to be done. I don't think there is, we have the opportunity, we see it in front of the eyes, we need to do, and what needs to be done, everyone knows. We just need to do this, that's all. And we need to have the systems, processes, checks and balances, so that the right things happen all the time. Every time wrong thing happens, 3 things happen wrong, then it sets us back. So we can't go forward and backward. We just want to keep going forward. It's better to go forward a little slow than going forward and backward.
Sir, India will certainly overcome the economic challenges. The question in my mind is whether we will be able to meet the social challenges, the social strife, what we are witnessing in recent years, and which is increased by social media. And being in a democracy, I find shudder to think how we'll meet without a very strong governance or very strong leadership.
Complex question. So as I said, to me the fundamental thing to be done is education and healthcare. to everyone across the nation. That is number one. Then coming to the social media or social challenges that you referred to, I think you talk about intolerance and you talk about fighting, you talk about all that. I think that is becoming, this has to be solved, but it is globally becoming a problem. So, unfortunately, social media has its positives and negatives. Because a tweet, a wrong tweet, can have a lot of repercussions. And even in our walk of life, previously we used to get a letter. So we will reply next day. But even if replying the same day, you will write it, you will type it, your secretary will bring it, then you put the signature, you proofread it twice, 3 times. So anything you immediately thought is a bad letter, if you are angry, by the time the letter you finish signing it, your anger has subsided and the words have changed. The first response you write, you see the letter at 9 o'clock, immediately there is a rush of blood. How can he say that? I'm going to give him a fitting reply. You write like that. At 9:30, by the time it gets typed and by the time it comes back to you, already you have calmed down, you change the words. So the final response is much toned down. Better sense prevails. But people now get the message, they type the message, and it types something else. You know, whatever you typed also is not there. It types something else, right? And then it goes. Instant. So that's the same thing happens in Twitter. This is the problem. This is the problem. Where people don't have the time to, people react very fast. They don't have the time to think. So sometimes speed is good, sometimes speed is not good. You know, I don't see a need for replying everything immediately. But people don't reply. Tack, 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 tack. So how do you teach this? How do you teach people not to instantly react? And how do you set the expectation? Now people actually send you a WhatsApp. If you don't reply, they call you. I sent you a WhatsApp, I have not got a reply. It's unbelievable. Arey Baba, I'm in a board meeting. No, still people thumbing in the, meetings. So that culture has to go. I'm hoping that it will change. So there has to be education on use of social media. There has to be discipline. Even at home, we keep the phone. We feel very insecure. When you're sleeping, the phone is on, it is next to you. You get up at 1:30 in the night by mistake, then you immediately look at what is in the phone. Why can't we sleep and look at it in the morning? So this is something has to happen on training people. I think if you train people and if people get disciplined and the world expectation goes down saying that everything is instant, everything has to be reacted immediately. So I feel the reaction time has to slow down because the mind reacts very fast.
Okay, so I think we have no time now, but as we come to the end of today's proceedings, it's my privilege to thank our esteemed guest speaker, Padma Bhushan Shri N. Chandrasekaran ji, for so candidly and lucidly sharing his thoughts and insights into emerging trends in future. Sir, the last 45 minutes have been extremely fascinating, engaging, as well as thought-provoking. Your first-hand insights into what the future beholds has left all of us with food for thought as we go back tomorrow with our companies and practices. It's as if to say that a CA final student has been given a question paper 6 months in advance and he can plan for what comes in future for him. Sir, on behalf of the entire BCAS membership, all present here and virtually, I would like to thank you for gracing our founding day and leaving us wiser. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating. Thank you. Like we spoke about instant and the urge for instant, we have an instant photograph for Mr. Chandrasekaran that we have. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again.